Hey, today I have a few tips for doing some Mills mess variations with triple staff. The first thing, if you're first starting out, I would suggest really getting this pattern down nice and tight first. And to do that, you can start with 2 staves and just toss one, then the other, switching hands. So what I like to do is always have one hand in front and one hand behind. So they're constantly, when they're going from my right hand to my left hand, it's in front, and when it's going from my left hand to my right hand, it's behind. So if you look at it like this, that left hand is always behind, that right hand is always in front. You don't have to do it that way. I know people that like always go front, but that gets a little more complicated for my mind, and I've learned and I found it's more consistent if I always have one hand in front. You could do the left hand always in front, but I've always trained it right hand always in front, switch. So then when you add that third staff in there, right hand is always in front, left hand is always behind, and hopefully that helps them from not colliding when that pattern's really tight. So let's see, work on that. To make it look really nice and pretty, I try to bring them down parallel and flat. You can kind of keep them up like this, and it just doesn't have the same look as if they're nice and flat like this. All right, so that's the first step for doing this wall plane Mills mess in flats. The second one is to try to sneak one hand underneath and start your Mills mess out of that pattern. And maybe even do one toss and a catch. Try to get used to that. So you see, as you take that under, turn that hand all the way around, pretzel up, and give it a toss there. So that wall plane lazy mess or flat mess is a really nice pattern with triple staffs because the staff is so big, it's really visual, and it's a real nice, wide, big pattern. You can also try starting all from one side, going to the other side. So instead of starting from that cascade, you can start with my hands all the way to the right, and then I do 3 tosses all the way to the left. 1, 2, 3. And then try to collect there. The goal is to not have them collide. Then you can do the other way. So all on my left to my right. 1, 2, 3. And then it's all about just trying to keep those planes nice and tight, have those hands separated there, and see how many times you can get that repeating. So I try, when I'm thinking about it, to get them all single toss and catch just like that. But of course, sometimes you get a little half spin in there. It could be done purposefully. I find that the one toss, let's see, which one is it? I believe it's the under. That guy, the underarm. It's kind of easier to let that do a half rotation with the other 2 in a true flat or lazy. Just because getting all the way under and having it come over is slightly more difficult than just getting it out there into that half. It depends on what look you want to go for. If you want it to be all perfectly the same, you want to really reach under, get it to toss all the way over to get to that catch. If you don't care, or maybe it's just like slightly easier for you, you just kind of do a wider toss, and then that half allows it to come in right and nice into your hand. So 2 lazies and a half would look like this. Give that one more run. And then if I switch it and I do true lazies all around, oops, it's a little bit more difficult, but it has a different look. Okay, so some other variations for Mills Mess that I think are fun. You can try that pattern with just spins instead of flats. It makes it a little bit bigger, so I do higher tosses. You can also throw in a hand wrap. I really like that as being the first overthrow. So it'd be the first throw in the single direction of the Mills Miss. And then I try to grab the staff up at the top and do a hand wrap. So now my hand's back in position to do the next toss like normal. So as I'm tossing it, comes over, hand wrap, over, hand wrap. And that's a good way to practice it, just with one staff. Be oriented one side, switch and pull. See if we can get that one. Let's see, another fun variation with staves is you can instead do that first toss, that same one that I just did a hand wrap on. Instead of a toss, you can get it over by doing a neck wrap. It's a little bit hard to start with two in one hand and get that neck wrap to start. So I usually like to start my Mills Mess first and then throw it in. So I'm going to start first and then throw it in here. Give that another try. A little bit sloppy, but you get the idea. Let's see. Another variation that looks really good with staves is all of the Sebs variations. Those, instead of being on wall plane, now we're going to be on wheel plane. And instead of practicing this guy as our base foundation, your foundation is just going to be this one. So to go into Sebs, there's a lot of tutorials out there. Sebs is slightly different than the Lucas's weave. I prefer the Lucas's weave because you actually do a weave with your arm, where Sebs, you end up doing a toss and kind of pulling out. So let's see, I can start with Sebs. The first one, when you're doing Sebs, it's going to be starting 3 throws all onto one side, and you go non-native, native, non-native. So it'd be non-native, native, non-native, switch, non-native, native, non-native. Thanks. The difference of Lucas's weave is you start native and then you go over native, non-native, native. So it actually turns into a slightly different pattern. Looks like this. I'd suggest looking up some club tutorials on that, and that'll get you started. There's something to start with for now. Good luck.